Hi, Kate here from HypnoTC, and this video is all about why we would give clients homework. And the very first answer is, if you do your maths, there are 168 available hours in a week. Now, if a client comes to see you, it's likely they're going to come to see you for an hour, maybe once a week, maybe even once a fortnight, depending on budget and their availability, your availability. So just 1 hour in the space of all of that time. Whereas if you gave a client some homework activities, and we're going to talk about different labels for this in a moment, but if you gave a client something to do, it would keep them engaged in that therapy process, in the change process. And this is really important. Now, in terms of labels, we're calling it homework here and now. However, you might call it development tasks, self-care activities, between session tasks. Really, you can label it how you want to, but fundamentally, it's all about having something that the client can do to keep them involved in their change process. Often when you have a client session, maybe a week or a fortnight apart, the client will have their amazing change process in the session. And then with nothing to do, it can be a bit of a dip. And they may start to doubt whether that change is going to be effective, whether it's going to be long lasting. If you're working with a phobia over the course of several sessions, they might think, well, actually, can I really still do that? So doubt can creep in. Whereas with homework activities, you're keeping them on track. If you're working with something that's definitely over several sessions, perhaps like weight management, then homework tasks are a really good way of keeping the client engaged every single day. So the other benefit for homework is client autonomy. If they come to a hypnotherapy session, even though it is a collaborative process, it's something that you're leading as the hypnotherapist. Whereas for homework activities, for self-care, the client is doing it for themselves. So not only does it help the interim between sessions, but it builds a sense of self-reliance. And this can boost resilience, and it can help a client feel more empowered, which means that they start to own their change. And if they own their change, if they're connected to their change, it's more likely to last over the course of time. When you're formulating homework, it's a really good idea to aim to tailor the homework to suit the client. It needs to be something that they are able to do. It's sort of on the edge of their comfort zone. It might even stretch them just a little bit. However, what you're going to avoid doing, hopefully, is putting them into the terror zone, where they're going to do something that they're not prepared for, because this then can help them lose confidence rather than gain confidence. And what you're aiming to do is you're aiming to build up their self-confidence rather than negatively affect it. Let's have a look at some of the different types of homework. And the first is psychoeducation. Gosh, that's a bit of a formal name, isn't it? And really with psychoeducation, what you're doing is you're directing a client towards useful resources so that they get a greater understanding of either the issue or the change process. So it might be, if you're doing something like healthy eating, you get them to read up on the different food categories, how many calories per different type of food, maybe getting them to think about what types of foods are going to help their diet, what aren't going to. You might give them a self-assessment task, perhaps an online or a paper questionnaire or a quiz, something like the Wheel of Life, so they can get a better understanding of their priorities in different areas of their life. That's really handy if you're going to be going on and doing something like our core value exercises. We'll put a link for that. There's also things like diary taking and journaling, where a client can note their experiences on a day-to-day basis. Quick tip here, rather than just getting the client to notice a negative problem, like how many times they were anxious that day, Get them to note what they did to resolve it, whether it's breathing activities, whether it's going for a walk or doing some other exercise, but have it positively focused so that the client isn't just thinking about the issue, they're also connected to the solution. Talking of solutions, it might be that you get them to use self-hypnosis to either just use for relaxation to boost their ability to work in hypnosis, or self-hypnosis to reinforce the work that you're doing in the therapy session. For example, mental rehearsal is particularly powerful if you're working with anybody that wishes to perform better. It's also amazing for weight management and certainly for certain types of anxiety, such as social anxiety. And finally, there's a release technique. And this is fantastic for whenever somebody's holding on to something where they can't express how they feel. So maybe a relative was really nasty to them. They can't communicate with that relative to say, I think what you did sucked. What they can do is perhaps over a course of a few days, write a letter to that person, and rather than post it, maybe take it out to their garden, set fire to it, and send the energy of that letter, the meaning, out into the universe, but releasing the emotional charge that was with it. These are just some of the ideas that we suggest are great as homework tasks. A final tip: when you create a useful homework task, keep a record of it, and then you'll be able to reuse that with other clients. We hope that you found this video useful. If you'd like to find out more about the courses that we offer, have a look at hypnotc.com. But for now, thank you for watching.